Ever since I was a little kid, I've always liked hanging around creeks. Although when I was little, we used to call them cricks. You know, Duck Creek, go down the creek in the ravine, where you heading, over to the creek, hang out. As a young child, I knew there were always fairies dancing around, although I didn't always see them. They're fast. But today I was called to the Creekside to meditate. And I'm lucky enough to have a beautiful flowing one that winds this way and that over boulders with mossy banks, tall towering trees. It's quite beautiful. So I took myself and actually reclined on a giant boulder and closed my eyes to meditate and just listen to the sounds and tune in to God for messages, because it was God who led me here today. And it was quite a wonderful reminder that was nothing profound. It's not always profound. Sometimes it is necessary or needed, though, the information that I get. And this particular day, I'm being reminded to just let go, just really go with the flow. And it's so much easier to kind of be in the Tao and move along as things come up and face them once you get to them, not being too far ahead or too far behind or stressing about what you've experienced before, but just kind of moving with things. This is the importance of being in the moment, of dealing with things as they come up and not letting them kind of muck you up or slow you down or dam up the water of your life, if you will. That was a double entendre, But today's message was important, because there's times in our life, much like a creek, that we're flowing along and things are going great, tickety-boo, moving along. And then there's other times when we come up to some boulders that we have to kind of maneuver around, or logs or sticks in the way, where we have to figure out which direction is the best direction. And in those moments, that's when I call on God, or try to remember to call on God, like, what should I do here? Because I'm coming up against something that's a bit of a struggle, and I really could use your help. And I tune in and ask for strength to go in the direction that I'm compelled by the divine voice inside to take. And I always have to remember, my yoke is light. So I always have to remember, by that union, things are apt to be much more smoothly than when I try to go about some redirection of course or some tricky passages on my own. I don't always remember, but this is one of the skills that I really want to work on. So I'm focusing and opening up and intending to do that, like to recognize first when things are getting scary or upsetting, or I'm coming up to something that is capable of overwhelming me or causing anxiety or disturbing my sense of peace. And I reach out in those moments to say, just, I'm going to tune to you, be with you. It's more than be with me. It's more of like, what direction should I take here? Because your highest knowing knows best. The ego mind that's been inculcated by a lot of decision-making ways from youth for, whether sanity or saving grace, our own saving grace, not God, but our own kind of survival instincts. Those old patterns aren't always the best for us any longer, especially as we grow into maturity, spiritual maturity. And so I really do lean into what would you have me do here? And that's how I do it. Perhaps you just tune in what's my highest good or what's the right answer I should take. And it's funny because, the right way is not always the easy way. We all know this. And it's just like sometimes the answer really takes me a bit out of my comfort zone because I can't predict what's going to happen, or I don't know what's going to happen. But regardless of that, it's important to just relax in the moment of truth and knowing that I am strengthened and full of light, and can be guided on the journey. Those are also often the times that I, pray the angel of God, my guardian dear, to whom God love commits me here, ever this day be at my side, to light, to guard, to rule and guide. I pray that all the time. It totally works. It's totally helped me. So I invite you to sit by your own creek, whether it's in your mind or in the physical. You can journey to these places in your mind. Close your eyes. Join me now. Look around boulders with moss, beautiful green moss growing, and the flowing creek there, meandering its way through the woods. Trees reaching towards the sky with roots firmly planted in the ground and just stretching upwards heavenly, as we all should. And garner your own lessons where the flow of your life is taking you and where it might be hung up, where you might be hung up on things, and how you might let go to move along, or if you need to sort out so that you can let go. And I hope God inspires you on your journey. Peace. I actually decided to record this audio brookside because the babbling brook sounds were much more pronounced than the creek sounds, which were just a trickle. I think you get the metaphor. Oftentimes I'm led to water to do meditation. I live by the ocean, so I go to the sea and just watch and listen to the waves as they go in and out, the ebb and flow of life. And I grew up along the Mississippi River, so I've gone to the riverside to watch the water flow by, to just remind me to, yes, go with the flow. I know the metaphor, but it's helpful. And, sometimes I'm too long at the sink and I remind myself, don't be wasteful, but I am an Aquarian, so I'm a water baby. And Aquarian's an air sign, but I just love water. So I take lots of baths and I like to swim. We're mostly water. I'm sure I'm part whale or something, part dolphin. So I love the water. It speaks to me. And I was not surprised God led me to the water side to kind of remind me to relax and let go and tune into divine knowing for direction in my life when I feel caught up or lost and uncertain where my meanderings are taking me, even though they sometimes are often actually divinely inspired. So I hope you enjoyed this session. If you'd like to follow me on social media, my links are found at my website, constancemessmer.com. Thank you and take care. Legally speaking, this podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. It is not intended as a substitute for medical diagnosis, treatment, or the advice of a physician, psychotherapist, or other qualified professional. You should not use this information to diagnose or treat a health problem or condition. Always check with your doctor.
Thank you for joining us today. If you've enjoyed this episode of Soul Awareness with Constance Messmer, we'd like to encourage you to continue your spiritual journey with this next episode.